Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatītam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatītam Triguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namam. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasishtha Nirvana Prakarana Purvardha. Section 53. The essence of the Gita is being presented by Sage Vasishtha to Rama. And Yoga Vasishtha and Gita and Upanishads, they give the same teaching. A wise aspirant meditates upon the underlying basis of the ignorance. He discovers that it is the self which is the illuminer of all minds and is the witness to all mental modifications. Always you are being pointed to the profound fact that all your experiences are mental projections, vrittis of the mind. The real you is like the screen. The real you is Brahman, the absolute. Bondage and liberation, both are possible in and through projections of the mind. The true I am is not the body, mind, or the senses, but the absolute self. This is the nature of vichar. So when we say practice vichar, that it implies. It implies get out of your ahamkar. Put on Davi Alankar. Alankar is wealth of virtue, ornaments of virtuous qualities. So get out of the car, but keep up the Alankar, virtuous qualities. Become a swan and then soar up. The early step to vichar is affirmation. You visualize by settling down your mind and heart. Bring a picture within your mind. Visualize what you are essentially. Just like you go to bed and begin to visualize you are going to sleep. You leap out of all the troubles. But visualization and realization are totally vast different, but they are needed steps. Visualization, then affirmation. As you visualize, your intellect must agree with it. What you are visualizing is the right thing. So that intellectual agreement, that depends upon how purified your intellect is. Intellect that is just superficial, intellectual. That intellect does not have the full grasp. So it will be from theoretical type of intellect, you will be gripped by sankalpa, vikalpa. One day you will be thinking this way, another way, thinking that way. One day you think Om is the best. You say, no, Ram is the best. Both are best. I'm not giving any superiority, inferiority. But limited intellect or restricted intellect places your mind into two choices constantly. But now, when your affirmation is on a positive way, then your assertion becomes more clearer and more in tune with the truth. The whole process is a process implied in the practice of vichar. Now your thoughtful movement, who am I, has great security. And it is a progressive movement. The self pervades the entire universe from within and without. It is the substratum of all that is in the creation. All that is in the creation. Just like if you dream, the entire creation is in the form of what you are dreaming, the dream world. And your own consciousness is the reality behind all the dream world. All the dream extensions, the sky in your dream, the stars in your dream, birds and beasts, rocks and mountains, rivers, and all great things, as well as all small things, even little spiders and roaches of your dream. All is you. Only how will you know it? When you wake up. And we have waking awareness. In the same way, the entire world that you're constantly, your mind is dealing with, is essentially the I am, not ahamkar. Ahamkar is seated in a dangerous car. But it is the real aham. But from ahamkar to real aham, you have to develop spiritual progress on the path of integral yoga, and discover divine virtues in your personality. So that's what I call alankar. Ornamentation is alankar. Just as waves are nothing but the ocean. Now, this is affirmation aspect. Picture is being given, how it would make it easy. So think of in a highly poetic way. Waves are nothing but the ocean. All that you are experiencing are waves. But all these waves are nothing but the ocean. The ocean is Brahman. All experiences led by ignorance are like illusory waves. Mountains are nothing but stones. The trees nothing but wood. In the same manner, the entire creation is nothing but the self. When you perceive Brahman as the only reality, you will not be overpowered by the illusion of perishable relationships. As ahankar, you are not only in a dangerous car, but your whole car is a ship is going to be wrecked. So from that relationship aspect, you get out of the ship. I'm joking. But the idea is to understand that behind all relationships, you are the only reality. As a wave, there are other waves. And so there's a relationship between wave and the waves. And if one wave rises, many other waves begin to rise. So in early stage, your mind goes after how to help all these souls, but not all of them, but some of them. But if when you are highly advanced, then all are saved automatically, because you are essentially the all. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. So when that insight dawns, that nothing in the world is separated from you. You are the reality behind all. If you want to have easier understanding, follow the simile of the sun. Think of countless reflected suns. Each reflected sun goes through relationship and goes through interrelations with other reflections. But in reality, every reflected sun is the absolute sun. This world is an expression of the infinite glory of the self. Therefore, direct your mind to the self and attain liberation. So lead your vichar to Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. And all that you experience is Brahman. Devoid of pride and infatuation, free of impressions of attachment, ever devoted to the self, unencumbered by the pressure of subtle desires, unfettered by the pairs of opposites, unaffected by the erroneous notions of I-ness and mindness. A sage attains imperishable state of Brahman. In a highly poetic way, the teaching is highlighting three stages: Mala, Vikshepa, and Avarana. So first you have to be deprived of pride and infatuation. Next, the distractions of your mind, pride and infatuation, that's mala, gross impurity. Gross impurity is kama, krodha, lobha, moha. And that's summarized by term pride and infatuation. And as you begin to control mala and sublimate it, amazing energy comes into your mental plane, and you don't know how to handle it. So that's that will lead. Then now you are dealing with Vikshepa. Previously you had only one head, but now you have 10 heads. Ravana. 10 implying 10 directional. 4 directions and 4 angular directions, up and down, all together becomes 10. And 10 is symbolic of Vikshepa. And finally, the veil of ignorance. Mala is counteracted by karma yoga. Yoga is a central process of souls being united with its essential nature. Being united is allegorical. A reflected sun doesn't have to be united in a physical way with the sun. To be united is to have a revelation. I am the sun. For that revelation, your personality should go through integral yoga. Karma yoga focuses on sublimating mala. Bhakti yoga focuses on sublimating vikshepa, distractions. Dhyana yoga is extension of bhakti yoga. And jnana yoga removes the veil of ignorance. Instructions for attaining freedom from bondage, section 54. Bhagavan Krishna said, O great armed Arjuna, listen to my teachings, which I will impart to you for your enlightenment, because you are dear to me. Krishna plays the role of Upadrashta Numantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. Krishna is the role of God within every individual. God is constantly overseeing, watching over you. Because intrinsically every soul is dear to God. Intrinsically every reflected sun is dear to the sun. That also is allegorical term. But that pot where water is clear receives the grace of the sun in an amazing way. When water is clear, when mind becomes purified, now you become really dear to God. Because with clear water, in spite of all the limitations around you, reflected sun is no longer shaky. And therefore, it can easily recognize its essential nature. I am the sun. The contact of the senses with the objects is the basis for experiencing pleasure, pain, heat and cold. Vishaya Sakti is being pointed out in the very second chapter of the Gita. Lord Krishna is talking about Sthita Prajna Lakshanas, characteristics of one who is established in wisdom. He gives a very profound statement. Dhyayato vishayan punsa sangaste shupajayate. By constantly dwelling upon objects of the world, you become attached to objects. Sangat sanjayate kama. And when you are, that attachment leads you desire. You are desiring objects because sangha has grown in your chitta. Kamat krodho vijayate. And when desires dominate your mind, anger enters your mind. But here anger is not ordinary anger. Anger is agitation. Agitation goes both ways. When someone has interrupted your pleasure, you become angry. And someone has dumped upon you $millions of dollars, lottery. That also is anger. In this context, the anger term relates to agitation. When you are frustrated, you cannot think clearly. When you are elated, you can't think clearly. So, frustration as well as elation both come as krodha. When there is agitation in your mind, krodhat bhavati sammoha, your vision becomes delusional. The vision of who am I goes far away. Sammohat smriti vibhrama. In order to have a revelation, you must have mystic recollection. You go to sleep, you got into a terrible dream, and you are in turmoil. What has happened? A form of lack of recollection has entered your mental process. Suddenly a dream becomes a little thinned out, and then memory enters. Oh, I'm right safe here on the earth, right on my bed. I'm not meeting with any accident. So that type of recall, which is a recall which awakens you from your dream, that call is called smriti in this context, real recall. And that smriti is involved in prayers and what we call sumiran of God, remembering God. When you practice japa, prayer, turning your mind to God, all these are little steps taken towards recollection, mystic recollection of who am I. Smriti Brahanshat Buddhi Nasho. When recollection is lost, the function of your intellect becomes absolutely insensitive. Intellect is there, but it is just shut in a door. Now, reverse this whole process. Dhyayato vishayan punsa. Instead of constantly allowing your mind to think of objects, why does your mind think of the objects? Because your personality is out of tune. Personality like a musical instrument. Your action, emotion, will and reason, these are like chords. If you practice integral yoga, karma becomes karma yoga. Your action, your emotion, your will and reason, they begin to assist each other in a profound way, just like different swaras blend in melody. When you are out of melody, then there develops dependence. Your mind doesn't melt. So that state is called Sangha movement, asakti. Asakti disturbs the melody. So if you are dhyayato vishayan punsa, instead of vishayan, If you are dhyayato ishwaran punsha, if your mind is turning to God, asangasteshu bhajayate, you will have developed detachment instead of attachment. When you develop detachment towards objects, the objects begin to shine with the glory of God. Each object opening a window to a sense of expansion. And that will lead you to akrodha. Instead of keeping your mind in agitation, you will promote serenity in mind, shama. And if you have shama, you will not hold relationships as a basis of your delusional love. All relationships, ghat ghat mein hai Sai Ramta. God dwells in every individual. So, God is being communicated. You are essentially the divine. In any relationship, father is God, mother is God, son is God, and there is godly inspiration will come from each relationship. That's the advanced ideal. And if that process goes on, Smriti Brahma, the delusional identity that you have developed about yourself, you have forgotten your essential nature. That forgetfulness will be negated. Buddhi that has been imprisoned now will shine up, and that leads you to enlightenment, sthita prajna state. Knowing that your experiences at the plane of the senses are illusory and sustained by the enchantment of your desires, you must learn to develop this passion towards those objects that are pleasant and endurance towards those that are painful. How to deal with practical experiences. It is normal for a human being to become attached to pleasant experiences and hate unpleasant ones. But now the mystic art is, when you face pleasant situation, remember the quality of detachment, practice of vairagya. Sakarvam dukham vivekina. For one who has developed viveka, all these attachments become the basis of great misery. So therefore, beware of being drawn to attachment. So attachment must be dealt with vairagya and viveka. Now regarding difficult situations, what to do with challenging circumstances, lockdown conditions, the art is develop patience, endurance, what is known as titiksha. And that's needed always, every day, in different degrees. Every day you want to have tea, but you have to have a little patience to cook the tea. Even in small projects, endurance is needed. And this divine project, this endurance has to be developed in a very advanced degree. The senses as well as the objects of the world are nothing but the divine self. It is impossible for the fullness of the divine self to undergo an increase or decrease. And that's all is full. Purnamadaha Purnamidam. That's the absolute truth. When you wake up, the entire dream world is nothing but yourself. And that applies to all your relative experiences, all your life, from life to life. You are moving in a plane of long dream. It's exactly like dream. And the subtle point about dream is everything in your dream is you. So everything in this world is you. But you not as individual soul, not as ego, not as intellect, not as body. You as absolute self, Brahman. That is your reality. The idea, I have been fulfilled by an object, is based upon ignorance. The feeling, I have been broken or affected by an object, is also an erroneous mentation. Facing different situations, sometimes you are injured in a very miserable way. But the ideal is, no matter how difficult circumstances you face, if you have developed the habit, the spiritual habit of remembrance, smriti, you learn to have the quality of wait and watch, quality to be patient, quality to endure. And even the act of endurance is a form of austerity. You are not losing time, but you are gaining spiritual merit. So it is not something void, purposeless, but with mighty purpose. So positive situations are fulfilling purpose of your life. Negative situations, they are fulfilling more of your purpose. That point has to be understood deep down so that you don't end up with the despair, but you end up with serenity, with inner fulfillment. When a wise aspirant gives up the illusion of seeing reality in the objects of the world, he becomes balanced in pleasure and pain, in gain and loss. Thus he qualifies himself for sustaining, for attaining immortality. All the objects of the world are expressions of the divine self. Therefore, the experiences of pleasure and pain arising out of them are in fact sustained by delusional mind. When you overcome the illusions of the mind, it is easy to endure the objects of the world. There is no reality in the objects of the world. They are more appearances, rather they are mere appearances caused by ignorance. Therefore, how can there be any effort involved in developing the art of titiksha, art of endurance, in the midst of diverse conditions of pleasure and pain caused by illusory objects? And Yoga Vasishtha continues later, giving you a profound statement. Patatyangar varshecha vati va malayanile. If burning embers were to shower, or if the scene changes and the breeze carrying the aroma of sandal fragrance were to blow, Patatyangar varshecha vati va malayanile. Bhutale brajati vyomni. If the earth were to be shot into the sky to become broken to pieces, Samam yaste jna atmani. One who knows the Atman, he remains absolutely untouched, unaffected. This is a very colorful picture presented, but for easy understanding, think of your dream. No matter what calamity you may face in your dream, the real you remains untouched. All that is needed for you to wake up from your dream. And if you have awakened a state while dreaming, sometimes people have that sensitive experience that it is a dream. You're not fully out of it, but it has dawned into your mind. Now you are acting like a Jivan Mukta. Even though in dream, tragic situations may develop, and you are smiling, because that's not you. That which is non-existent cannot become real. That which is real cannot cease to be. That's the strength that you gain by turning towards what is real. Satyameva jayate. Turning towards what is dharma. Yato dharmas tato jaya. Turning towards God. So that's the subtle, important point one must remember. This is the most important focus must be there in your mind. Dhyayato vishayan pus. Instead of constantly thinking of objects of the world, turn your mind to Godward thought. Because in this form of Godward thinking, you will not be at a loss. You will be always positive. Progressive movement towards enlightenment. Supreme Self is the only reality. The experiences of pleasure and pain are non-existent. It is a limited mind that holds the concept of the reality of the world and the unreality of the self. Day by day, human mind is involved with so many news continue to break. Even by your common sense, the things that you collect in your mind are irrational. Every day people are born, so many people die. This world is, from a practical point of view, is a world of mortality. So, what's such a big surprise? Why is your mind so caught up with things that happen in the world process? Let your mind be caught up by God within you. That's the biggest catch. Instead of going to hold on to drifting sand and drifting storm of straw, turn towards, instead of all the shaky clouds and storms, stick to your essential nature, that is the sky. Be the sky. Though the self illumines the movements of the mind during our experiences of pleasure and pain in the world, it is untouched by the world. Who is the seer? Who is the illuminer? How do you experience? Let that vichar tell you that everything you are experiencing, no matter how little, no matter how negative it may seem to be, is due to the light of the self. Starting with the vichar, first stage, your senses illumine the objects. If your senses are not there, how can you experience the world? But senses are not alone in illumining the objects. Senses themselves need light, light of the mind. Mind needs the light of intellect. Intellect draws the light from the cosmic mind. And behind the cosmic mind is the absolute light of lights, Brahman. So, even your tiniest experiences are illumined by the light of lights. Or put it another way, all your experiences are reflections in consciousness, absolute consciousness. Absolute consciousness remains unaffected, untouched by your different forms of awareness. Follow a simple mathematical way of thinking. You are experiencing two types of awareness. One is the substratum behind. One is like pure consciousness, like the ocean. That ocean-like awareness is your essential nature. But that essential nature has never gone away. You are aware of changing things, variables. Sometimes you are aware of happiness, aware of misery, aware of tension, aware of anger, aware of this, aware of that. But these variables have one common denominator: awareness, consciousness. That consciousness is your reality. And that's brought out in the statement, Mahavakya, Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is pure awareness. To straighten this point, remember, Satchit Ananda, your absolute existence. Open your mind to your essential glory. Sat, your absolute awareness. Chit, your absolute bliss. Ananda, I am Satchidananda. Existence, consciousness and bliss absolute. That is your reality. Don't move away from this profound truth. Allow your mind to have room for your highest treasure. And with this, I will conclude for today. Om Ram 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 Ram. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya Ras, grace of God over all of you, with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukuva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukbhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat.